So thank you so much, Ahmed, for joining us, and it's great that you got some time from this busy schedule of the day one of GITEX. So, if though we all know each other, for the benefit of our viewers and for the benefit of those who are going to see this podcast later on, could you give us a brief introduction about you and something about Poly as well?
Sure. Thanks for the opportunity. Like you said, it's exciting to be in a busy time, but I think part of it is networking and talking to people and see what's new that's happening around in GITEX. My name is Ahmed Sousa. I lead the pre-sales team at Poly HP now,
Yeah.
and have been with the company for 15 years. So lots of transition happening in the market that I'm sure we will touch based on. But it has been a very interesting era happening. And I believe we're waiting for this show every year.
Yes.
To come and talk to customers and see them and so on.
So Ahmed, you mentioned that we all look forward to this show every year. So what sets GITEX apart from the other exhibition shows or other trade shows you would have gone to or witnessed?
Yeah, I think it's the interaction with the customers that makes big difference, and because it runs also for a place where it's easily reachable throughout the region, Gulf region. We always see lots of customers coming from Africa and from the East. So I think the location makes a big difference, and also I think the city, Dubai, is also ready for such exhibitions to attract lots of people. I believe at the same time the quality of the vendors, partners who exhibit here makes it very attractive for customers to come and see what's new, what's happening, and so on. So that makes it very interesting.
Great.
Yeah.
So, what is Poly bringing new to GITEX 2023? Is there any new product solutions, anything new that you're displaying?
Yeah, I think the focus is actually following the trend that's happening in the market. So if you don't mind, maybe we can take a bit and look at what's happening on the market. So
Sure.
we because I believe we look at that and then we see what do we need to do to serve our customers better.
Yeah.
We have seen, especially post-COVID, that the hybrid work became kind of the norm.
Yeah.
I think there is no go back to either remote or at the office. I think it's mixed, and I think also the line has been blurred between both worlds, right?
Yeah.
So you might be in the office working, but then on the way to home you are taking a call, and then you go home and again you have another meeting and so on. And the challenge this gives is several challenges. First is, how do you give the same tool to the end user to be able to collaborate and communicate in a productive way with each others? And second is security, right? Now you have taken a lot of collaboration and now it's happening from home. How do we make sure customers are feeling comfortable from privacy perspective, from security perspective, having that collaboration happening remote?
Yeah.
So those are the challenges, and this is of course coupled with what's happening around us in AI and development that will happen in the future with AI. So how Poly is prepared for that, and we're trying to provide that experience to extend into the home office.
Okay.
Right? So from office to home office. Some people can think about it in a different way, where it's actually from home to the office.
Okay.
And why is that? Because we stayed 2 years at home, right? People got used to a certain setup, they figured out their way. Now they're going back to the office and say, I don't have the same experience. And I give you a small example. I really like that. Many customers say, I used to sit at home, seeing every individual over video in a separate, window.
Yeah.
Now I go to the office, or I talk to people in the office, and I have 5 people in the room,
Yeah.
and I cannot recognize who is there.
Okay.
Might appear a very simple problem, but at the end, it's the user experience and so on. So what we're doing, we're collaborating with all the platforms that we work with. You talk about Microsoft, you talk about Zoom, in order to enable all our cameras to send multiple streams, right? So now you're sitting in the meeting room, the camera is capturing, let's say, 5 people, but it's sending separate streams of every person, plus the main room, so you can have a context of who is sitting proportional to whom and so on, and provide that same experience that people used when they are at home to see when people moved back to the office. So those kind of experiences are really, really important. So we are focusing on that. That's happening a lot with using software that's leveraging lots of AI as well, because if you want to really let's say switch between different speakers and framing, the camera need to be intelligent and leverages some AI algorithm to reach there.
So Ahmed, you talked about COVID, and we all have seen, we were there, we saw we were moving towards this hybrid work at a very snail pace, and then all of a sudden COVID happened, and overnight everyone started working from home, or was forced to work from home, if I may say so. So what, and Poly was one of the few companies, if we see, were kind of there with the products. All these changes, what you just talked about, the integration, the AI was not there back in 2020.
Right.
Okay. So what do you think? Has COVID fast-tracked the process of where we would have been in 10 years, we are in a year's time, and what did Poly do to have these integrations with different platforms to make it a seamless experience for customers?
Yeah, for sure, yes. The answer is yes. I cannot imagine that we would have been in this position today without COVID accelerating things. So things were moving in that direction, but like you said, COVID was really main driver for people to go there, because you had no choice.
Yeah.
Right? You still, companies and customers wanted to collaborate, wanted to reach their goals, but they're remote, they're at distance, so that was the only solutions to go there. And you also see it in essential things like schools, right? All the students, they needed to pass the year, they needed to listen to their teachers and so on. So definitely that was a good driver to push everyone there. How Poly managed that was to immediately find all the platforms that existed at that time and now also developing in order to have a solid integration in there. So I mentioned before Microsoft Teams and Zoom. We also have integration now with with Google, right? So extending the ecosystem of platforms that are on the cloud. We have much more than that, but those are perhaps the biggest three. And funny enough, we still also have our infrastructure which exists on-prem, right? For some special customers who still wants to host their own infrastructure for security purposes, for control purposes, that could be healthcare or government and so on. So the key was to make sure it is seamless when customers got those platforms. And it's also, I think, interesting because I haven't seen a customer who is only working in one platform. Because let's assume you pick up one of them, you are inviting others or receiving invite from others who are working on a different platform.
True.
So the idea for us on how we create collaboration with our kids that can integrate with all those platforms. So the investment for the customer would be, I'm investing into one set of solution that can work on all the platforms that exist in the market.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And Ahmed, how is this integration with HP going to help in the video and audio journey for Poly?
Yeah, I think it will help a lot from different areas. Already the journey of AI started also with HP. So here we are going with one direction. Second, from development perspective, we definitely can leverage a lot from HP with the scale. Definitely with customers and partners, especially in the mid-market, and of course in the retail section. So all of that is really great and exciting for us to leverage. And I believe also in solutions, right? When you see everyone comes in a meeting room with his laptop from HP, right? You're gonna see lots of development happening from headset perspective, from video perspective, to make that as a one system. Just the simple thing we started today is our management platform is now by default in every HP laptop, to make it easy for people not to install extra pieces of software, but also going forward, those solutions that integrates PCs experience with the room experience is going to be something unique that we can deliver as HP and Poly.
So there's much more to expect from HP Poly world.
Yes, we are excited.
Another thing, so we all know that Poly, the legacy of Plantronics gets into the headset business, and the Polycom brings the video side. Do you think that will still continue with HP? The focus on headsets in specific, because we see HP, the video is taking over gradually and slowly, and there's a competition, if I may say so, from consumer side, the retail side. How does Poly HP is coping up with that, and what differentiates an enterprise headset? It's a basic thing, but for many of the people who are not in this industry, they at times confuse a enterprise headset with a headphone from the retail they can pick up at any of the power retailers.
I agree. I think the main, I would say differentiation is, I always like to call it business grade experience, right? Because you can have an experience and it's satisfactory with you when talking to friends and family members. The moment you are in the business, you look at, I need to hear the person very clearly. I should not miss interpretation of a word that he is saying, because we are talking business. That of course on the voice side. On the video side, I need to understand the facial expression for the person in front of me very well, because yes, he might say yes, but I know that he is hesitant, right? And if I don't see that hesitation on video, then it's not the business grade experience that I'm seeing. At the same time, in many meetings, we also share content, right? So almost, I would say, in 90% of our meetings now, there is a PowerPoint presentation, there is an Excel sheet happening. So how do we blend all those together, right? And I believe the experience is the number one differentiator. Look at someone who is, let's say, 10 hours on voice, doing calls with customers and partners. You need to be comfortable. You need to feel that people can hear him without repeating the words or being misunderstood. And also the AI helped a lot with that, right? You can be in environment that is really difficult for people to hear you, like here in GITEX, right? I use my Poly headset, which is, like you mentioned, coming from Plantronics, and people don't realize that I'm in a crowded place. And that in itself is amazing, because even if we try to avoid some meetings while in a day like that, some meetings you have to take, and you cannot escape from the environment around you.
Yeah.
So having those innovations that can enable you to send a very clear and business grade voice and video to the far end is very critical. Yeah.
And can you give us a sneak peek of what's in the roadmap? What new can we expect? Is there anything new coming specifically for video or audio? Any new products, any new technology, anything like that?
Yeah, I think the focus, like I mentioned before, will be on AI. So, and I think you're gonna find lots of new stuff coming from software perspective. We have invested a lot in our management platform, and the idea is the following: is we wanna give people who run video. So now we talked a lot about users, right? But
yes.
But we know that there are IT managers who is running the video. There is an executive who wants to know the return on investment on the video and the voice that he invested in. So we are investing a lot in a management platform that gives a lot of analytics. And those analytics could, for example, measure things like how many people used the video conferencing room today, right? Do I really have a 20 seat room used only by 5 people on average? Is that the right investment of my real estate, right? Things that can be very, very small. Is this room always overcrowded, for example, right? Because the camera is intelligent enough to count the people inside and give those insights to the IT manager. And those will help him to say, yeah, maybe I can divide this room into 2, right? Because, I never exceed that number, or this is overcrowded, let me go and search for a bigger room so everyone can sit comfortable inside. Things like that. When you also look at the quality of experience, if I try to imagine the future is going to be cameras and not only cameras, also headsets and microphones, trying to analyze how you are from mental state perspective. Are you angry? Are you frustrated? Are you happy? And those insights, mix it, can give you a quality of a meeting that went through, right? You could say there is some friction happening in that conversation, or that conversation was really easy and smooth and so on. So all those insights, and I think that's the direction where we're going. But definitely we will be coupled with a lot of security and privacy things, as I mentioned at the beginning, because people moved away to home. How do we protect them? And we will keep, I think, elevating all our experience in terms of the camera, the pickup microphone, the speakers, because those are important. And as the platform evolve, we will evolve with that as well. So those will be the areas where we will be heading to.
Quite an interesting world we can envision now.
Yeah. With AI playing a part in lot of solutions.
Yeah.
And I think when you talk about AI, I think we are not there yet as an industry, but we are going very fast, and I think the pace is really, everyone need to catch up there. Yeah.
So another thing, Ahmed, how do you see is European and American market a bit more advanced when it comes to video? Because why I'm asking this, initially the early days of COVID, when we all went from physical meetings to e-meetings or virtual meetings, there were majority of us who were camera shy.
Right.
Did not want to turn on the cameras, and came a point where it was asked also if you can turn on the camera, and then the virtual background started coming in.
Yes.
So do you see that this part of the world is still camera shy, still hesitant to turn on the camera compared to the people in Europe or US?
I would not look at it from that perspective. I would look at it from culture perspective. I think it's more culture, right? So first of all, when you got the right environment, you are less hesitant to open your camera, right? If you have a proper setup, sitting in a room where, like you said, the virtual background came and saved lots of people from exposing what they have. But I believe it's not related to the technology, it's more of the adoption, right? So it depends on the culture. It's not necessarily related to a specific region, but and it's not only the culture of a nation. I think it's a culture of the business, right? So you can find people in a specific company, and the culture there was always, to meet face to face, right? So they're always looking for that. Some were fine for years. They ran doing only audio calls, and they didn't feel like missing, the video aspect. So those took longer time to adapt and get there. And you wouldn't believe it, and it's really amazing. Some very few things that you can do when designing a product to encourage people to either open their camera or no. Some people, when they are not sure if the camera is on or off, they just wanna even bring a duct tape and put it on, on their camera, because they're not sure. When you design a product with an indication, this camera is on, this camera is off, and you give a visual indication to that, they feel more comfortable, right? Because, at certain point, you would need to be off camera, right? Yes, especially when you're working from home, you know that you have to leave your room and go pick up something and come back, right? And you excuse people by switching off your camera, and they know that you're not 100% following now, and they don't expect that, and then you come back, or there is a break, for example, right? So I think those small tweaks can really encourage people to use video more and more.
Very well.
Yeah.
So I think thank you so much for your time. But as a last question, we'd like to ask you, how do
Sure.
you value the relationship with Ingram Micro? How do you see the importance of distribution in this business? If you would like to say a few words.
I think it's super critical, and I would say why is we see customers coming to us and say, I would like to have your technology implemented, but I want it yesterday, right? And if you don't have a reliable distribution network that makes sure that the customer can get access to the technology in the right way and in a timely manner, I think that is really valuable to have a partner, to work with who is reliable, can get the technology in the hand of the customer in the right way, in a very fast way. That's super important, and we're excited about that. And at the same time, we collaborate both the companies together, not only in one country but in several countries, and then the magnitude of that relationship is very helpful, and make it easy to reach customers, not necessarily in one country but across the world. And I think that is also important because we have many global customers who implement technology all around the world, and that becomes super important.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Feeling is mutual, Ahmed. We also, appreciate, respect, and we are just overwhelmed with the relationship we have been enjoying, and really grateful for the relationship what we have been with Poly HP now in all the countries we operate.
Here is the same. Yeah,
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you here.
Thank you
It
so
was
much.
a real pleasure, Ahmed. In fact, I really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank
And I
you.
think we should be doing this more often. We should not wait for GITEX 2024.
Agree 100%. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
Thank you so
thanks
much for
again.
your time.
Thank you.